So the first thing I did here is to cut out the lower part, which is the skirt. So the shoulder to waist I'm working with is 17. The lower part of the so the total length of the dress is about 32. So if I subtract that 17 from the 32, so that's how I got the length of the bottom layer. So the bottom part I have about I want it to be 20.5. So and then I added extra 1.5 to be the seam allowance at the end. So now the next thing you're going to do is, so basically, to get the length of your the bottom part, measure your shoulder to the length of the dress, and then you subtract your half length from it. That's how you're going to get the bottom part. So now I'm going to go ahead and so the width I have here is going to be my hip measurement divided by 4 plus extra 1 inch. So, and then I also have the back panel here, which I added extra 1.5 for the zip allowance at the back. So now the next thing you have to do, so basically divide your waist measurement by 4, and then you're going to add 2 inches to it. Divide your hip measurement by 4 and add 1 inch to it. So guys, the next thing you have to do is to divide the waist by 4, and then you're going to add 2 inches to it, and then you're also going to go, once you put in your dart, so basically we're trying to mark your basic skirt here. So put in the dart at this 4 inches. I'm going to come down here 2 inches before the waist, the hip line. So my waist to the hip is 10 inches, 2 inches before that, meaning my dart will stop at 8 inches. I'm going to take it up, mark half an inch on both sides, and then bring it down. So this is basically my dart, and then my waist measurement divided by 4 is about 8.5. I added 2 inches to this, which is 1 inch of darting and 1 inch of side seam. After that, you're going to connect from that line here to your waist, to your hip measurement, which is here, and then at the lower part of the skirt you're going to subtract 1 inch, since it's going to be a pencil skirt. So I'm going to subtract 1 inch from this part, and then I'm going to connect it all the way to the end. So that's basically it. I'm going to go ahead now, cut from this part all the way to the waist, and then I'm also going to notch this here so that I can be able to transfer my dart. So guys, this is my skirt here, and then like I said, I've notched this part. So the skirt is basically done. I'm going to set this aside now, and then we're going to cut the top. So to cut the top, you're going to divide your bust measurement by 4, and then you're going to add extra 4 inches or 5 inches to it, just to be safe. You're going to cut out the excess later, but just for now I'm going to just add about I added about 4 inches to mine here, so about 14.5 inches here. So the next thing you have to do, remember this top here, it starts at, it depends on you where you want yours to start. So mine, the shoulder to waist I'm working with is about 17, so I added 1 inch to it, which is 18, meaning I want my top to start somewhere at 6.5 or at 6 inches. It depends on you where you want yours to start. So let's say I want mine to start at 6 inches, so that means plus my extra 1 inch of seam allowance. So you see, instead of starting, this is where my shoulder is supposed to be, and this is where my waist is supposed to be, but I want the neckline of this top to start somewhere here at 6 inches. So you see, I added extra 1 inch for the seam allowance for joining this to the bottom of the dress, and then to be able to fold this top part with lining. So now that we have done that, the next thing I'm going to do is to, so guys, the folded fabric, like I said, is basically my bust divided by 4 plus 4, which is what I have here at 14.5. So now this part here is going to be the waist part of this cloth. So what I'm going to do now is just to divide the waist I'm working with by 4, and then I have about 8.5. I'm also going to add extra 4 inches. This 4 inches I'm adding here is just the total seam allowance I'm going to be needing here. So after that, I'm going to go ahead and just blend it up to the top of this here. So I'm just going to connect it just like this, and then I'm going to cut it out. 100. So guys, this is just to help me shape out the bodice I'm working with. So guys, now the next thing you have to do is my nipple to nipple measurement. I'm going to divide it by 2 and add 1 inch to it. So the nipple to nipple I'm working with is 4, divided by 2 is going to be is 8, divided by 2 is 4, adding 1 to it is 5. So I'm going to mark 5 all the way from this end to this point here. I'm going to mark that all the way to the end, and then I'm going to connect it in a straight line. And then after that, the next thing you're going to do is, as you can see, I placed my tape back at this 6 inches to the waist, like where my shoulder measurement is supposed to start, right? My shoulder, and then the armhole is supposed to start somewhere here. So the next thing I marked is from the shoulder to the under bust, which is 12.5. Sorry, shoulder to the breast point, which is 12.5, shoulder to under bust, which is 14.5, and shoulder to the waist, which is 17.5. So after that, now the next thing you're going to do is, on this line of my waist, I'm going to go ahead and subtract about half an inch on each side, right? And then on this line of this one here, I'm going to go ahead and, so on this one here, I marked half an inch here and half an inch on this side. And then on this second line now, I'm going to mark 0.75 on each side of it, right? 0.75 on each side of it. And then on this one here now, I'm just going to connect it all the way to this here, just like that. I'm going to connect it and then connect this line all the way down. And then after that, the next thing you're going to do is, at this top line, I'm just going to mark 1 inch on each side. So I'm going to mark 1 inch on each side. So now that I've marked it, I'm going to just bring it down all the way to this line here, and then also bring this one all the way to this line here. So now I've marked what I need to mark. So guys, after that, the next thing you're going to do is to measure from one side of your tape from one side to this other side and measure what you have. So for me, that's about, so guys, what I have is about 14 inches divided by 2 is going to be about 7 inches. So I'm going to mark that here, and then I'm going to add back these 2 inches that I removed from here. I'm going to put it back, and then after that, I'm going to, this is where my armhole will come in now. So from this point now, I'm going to place my tape again and mark what my armhole is supposed to be. So my armhole is supposed to be at 9.5. So if I draw my armhole down all the way, it's going to stop at 9.5. So I'm going to mark it here, and then I'm going to connect this all the way to this point and give it a curve. So basically, this is going to be my bodice. At this point now, I'm going to insert my armhole here, and then I'm going to start from this point and cut it out. So guys, I hope this makes sense. So basically, you fold your fabric into two, divide the width of the fabric is going to be your bust measurement divided by 4 plus extra 4 inches. That is the width. After that, you divide your nipple to nipple measurement and add by 2 and add 1 inch to it. So my nipple to nipple was 8, divided by 2 is 4, plus 1 I got 5. So I marked 5 inches distance in a straight line, the center line you're seeing here, this center line here. And then after that, you're going to mark your shoulder to your breast point, your shoulder to your under bust, and your shoulder to your waist. And then on your shoulder to your waistline, you're going to mark half an inch on both sides of this center line. And then on this under bust, you're going to mark 0.75 on each of them. And then you're going to connect it all the way up to where your bust point is. You're not going to subtract anything from there. And then at the very top, you're going to mark 1 inch on this side, 1 inch on this side, and blend it down. So that's basically it. After that, you're going to insert your above your chest line, the measurement you have there. So whatever you got, divided by 2, insert it. So I got 14, divided by 2 is 7, right? And then after that, you're going to insert the measurement you took away from here, which was 2 inches. I insert it back, and then I drew in my armhole here. So that's basically how you cut this. So I'm just going to go ahead now and start cutting mine out. So you see this center line now is done. I'm just going to go this way and cut this one out now. Out. Try not to make this part pointy, and then you're going to follow this line now and cut away that other 1 inch on this part. So after cutting it now, I'm going to go, if I wasn't going to add this part here because of my armhole, I'm going to cut it out because I need a sleeve. So I'm going to cut out for my armhole now. So guys, that is basically how you cut it. So this is it now. All I have to do now, since this top here doesn't have a sweetheart neckline, I'm not going to insert any sweetheart neckline here. But if it had a sweetheart neckline, I would have just come in here and then cut that out, and then I would have gotten the sweater, but it's just a straight neck, like a square neck across. So now this one here is going to be your center pattern, and remember this top doesn't have any back panel. So I have my center pattern now. I have the two sides, one on this side and then one on the other side. So all I have to do now is to go ahead and trace out my, I'm going to go ahead and trace out a lining that fits exactly like this one here, and then I'm going to sew this together. So you're going to first take this here, after cutting it on your lining, take it here, sew this part close, and then put this one on this side, sew it close all the way to the end. And then after that, you have your like a bust here, and then you take your lining that you've joined exactly like this, and then place it and close it from the top part. Here, as you can see, I joined it at this top part here, and then I also joined the side from inside. So you see, I used about half an inch to join the sides, because I didn't want to use up to 1 inch, because I want this to come across to my side. But the initial measure, when I was adding the 4 inches, it's supposed to be 1 inch that I'm supposed to take away from this side as my side seam. But I figured since the back is going to be open, I didn't want it to just stop right by the side. I want it to come over a little bit to my back. So instead I used about half an inch for my side seam allowance. So you see, I closed it up here. The only part I didn't close up is the armhole part, because I'm still going to attach a sleeve here. So you see, this is what my bodice looks like right now, the top of it. So I'm going to take it now. This is the waist of the front of my skirt. I'm going to take this here and join it to this here, making sure that I placed my dart together, and then I'm going to join it. It might not reach to the end because of I've taken away half an inch from this here, so it might not reach. It might have half an inch at the end here and also half an inch at the end here. So I'm going to join the two front bodies together, and as you can see, I've also picked my dart for the skirt. So I'm going to do that now. And then also for the back here, I've also picked my dart, and then I'm going to be using a skirt zip for it. So I joined the two back panels together for the skirt, and then I also added my dart. You can see my seam here, but then I left room for my zip because there's still going to be zip here. But before that, I've cut out the band I'm going to use for each side of this here, because there's supposed to be a band. So all I have to do is to fold this into two this way now, and then I'm going to fold it a little bit more. It depends on the length of band you want, and you can iron in stay in yours. So but I don't have stay, so I'm just going to fold my fabric. Since it has starch, I'm just going to use it that way. Put this in between here, and then I'm going to sew it down this way. So once I finish this here, I'm also going to use this one here for this side, put in my two bands here, and then I'm also going to insert a zip at the center. Once I finish that now, I'll take the back and the front and join it together. So I'll take the front of this skirt, put it here, and close up the two sides. This is what it looks like now at the front, and then if I turn the back, you see that it has a zip already. Like I said, I wanted this to come over a little bit to the back, so that's why you are seeing this here. And if you look at it, I've attached my band, and then my band joins just right at the top. This is where the front of the skirt is, and then this is the top. If you see, this band here is helping to pull this upper bodice to the back. So you see how I attached it here. Is holding these parts together. So the band here is helping to pull it together at the top. So guys, now to attach our sleeve, see what I did here. You can make like a rectangle fabric that is wide enough, and then fold the top part, fold the lower part, pass elastic through the two top and bottom casing, and then just take it and join the opening like you have a circle. Right after you do that, you just take one part of it and stitch it and join it to this part. So once you come, you put your hand inside of it. Like let's say I've made a casing with this now, and it's round like this, right? I've passed my elastic, it's round like this. I'll just take it this way and then come here and sew it here. Just sew it down from this whole part. So once I wear it, I put my hand inside of it. You can do that method, but I wanted to try something different with mine. So I'm going to cut it in form of a puffy sleeve, and then I'm going to make a casing for it, for the elastic at the top and the bottom. So I'm going to make it like a little bit exaggerated puffy sleeve. So what I did here is my armhole I'm working with is 20 divided by 2 is 10. So that's going to stop somewhere here. That's 10 inches away from this point. So I added about extra like 4 or 5 inches more. So now the next thing I'm going to do to make the puffy sleeve, I'll come down here by 3 inches, And then the next thing I'm going to do is to mark my sleeve cap. This is for my puffy sleeve, and then I'm going to mark my sleeve cap, which is going to be here. I'm going to come down here by about 4 inches down again. So I've marked 3 inches, which is my puffy sleeve, 4 inches, which is my cap height, and then I'm going to mark from this point to this point here, just drawing my basic sleeve at this point. Divide what I have here by 2, which is about 5.5. Just my normal sleeve is what I'm marking in here. Connect it this way, connect it this way. So that halfway through this straight line that I marked, because normally this would have been my basic sleeve, right? My armhole divided by 2, but this extra is just for the exaggerated puffy sleeve. That's this extra 5 or 4 inches. You can do 6 inches or what, any amount you want to do. So now from this halfway through here, I'm going to, this is the halfway through from this straight line, I'm going to connect it to the top here. So this is going to be my exaggerated puffy sleeve. I'm going to cut this part out now. So guys, the length I'm working with, in case I forget, the length depends on you, but just know that this 3 inches is for your puffy part, and then this lower part here I have about extra 14 inches, but I want my sleeve to be in total maybe, let's say, like 10 or 11 inches, but because I need to case it, and then I also, because whenever you're making a puffy sleeve, you need to add extra inches to the length, so that just how you added extra to the width, you need extra to the length so that you can get that puffiness. So in total I have about 14 inches here. Then you include my 3 inches of the puffy sleeve part here there, so in total I have about 17.5. So guys, now I also went ahead and cut out these straps here, these pieces here. So guys, like I said, I'm trying this out, so you guys are going to see it when I wear it, what it turned out to look like, and then you can choose the one you want, if you want to use the rectangular method or if you want to use this one. So what I'm going to do now is, because looking at the picture, I think her own is like a puffy sleeve, so I'm going to use this here, and then I'm going to take this strap, these pieces here, I'm going to use it and make a casing. But in this casing, I'm going to just join this all the way around here, join it all the way around here, and then I'm going to fold it in like this inside here, and then I'm going to pass elastic inside of it, close it up. The same thing at the end here, I'm going to just fold this one this way, fold this way, and then pass elastic at the edge here, close it up, and then when I'm done, I'm going to take it and join it to the body of this here. You can make yours puffier than this, but you see why I wanted to use this method, so that I can get this puffy sleeve part of it, right? So you see how I attached it just like this. So let me show you guys the inside. So I just took that armhole part, and then I just opened this up this way and then sewed it down, but I didn't make the part, my center seam on the sleeve, I tried to bring it like 1 inch inside of this and then sewed it down. And I tried to avoid my elastic, I just sewed it outside of the casing, just right below the casing, because if you see, this is where my elastic is, so I can still move my elastic around. I tried to avoid my stitch being on top of the elastic. So this is it here. You see, I just sewed it smoothly, like the fabric was straight all the way to the end, and then from here now you can see my elastic here. So guys, let me show you what it looks like. So you see this one here also, I've made it, so this is what it looks like here. You see the puffy part, and then just like this, this is where my sleeve is. So what I'm going to do, like I said before, this is the center seam here, where my casing, the center seam of where my elastic ends. So all I have to do now is to take this center seam now, and then I'm going to place it this way. You see, I'm going to bring it like 1 inch in, because remember, this here is going to the back, this body of this here is going to the back. So I'm going to try to add this part 1 inch inwards from here. So all I have to do now is to take this here and sew it down just like this all the way to the end, and keep my fabric straight. Don't gather it as you're sewing it down, pull it straight and then sew on the fabric itself. So that's basically how you're going to join this here. And you can see the body of the dress here. This is what the back looks like. So I'm going to go ahead and join the other one. So this is what the back looks like. I'll do this one also. So thank you guys so much for watching. Please like, share and subscribe. Bye.